The first time we received an invitation to dinner at a local French family's house, I was so excited. It just felt like a really warm welcome and a sign of acceptance to be invited into someone's home for dinner.
But we were also really nervous, or at least I was. I am a rule follower. I like to be polite and respectable, but I was like a tiny bit terrified that I would be there and there would be something that I was supposed to do that I didn't know, or that I'd make some kind of like faux pas and I would never be invited back again.
Looking back, I think it feels a little silly now because the French people we've gotten to know are incredibly gracious and they've been very forgiving. So consider this your video, your primer for your first dinner invitation to a French home.
Watch for numbers 5 and 8. Those two, still to this day, after 3 years, feel a little counterintuitive, but you'll get through them. Hi, I'm Raina.
I'm Jason. We're Baguette Bound. Here on this channel, we talk about moving, adjusting, and enjoying your life in France. Okay, so the setting here is someone you know, maybe not really well, has invited you to dinner at their home. It's not really a formal situation, but these aren't close friends, at least not yet.
Yeah, and for context, I just want to remind you that we live in the southwest French countryside. So if you happen to be Parisian or maybe from the north of France and you think something works differently in your part of the country, we would love to know that in the comments. But the list we chose here, I think, is pretty universal through France.
Okay, so we've got a list of 10 things, starting from arrival at dinner until the farewell. So let's go. Number 1. Don't arrive right on the dot, right at the time. You want to allow at least a quarter hour of politeness. This isn't 15 minutes, it's not exactly written in stone. It's just a little bit of a buffer of a few minutes for the host if they're finishing their last minute preparations.
Yeah, but remember, this is just a few minutes grace period, so if you're going to be more than 15 minutes late, it is polite still to let the host know.
Number 2. When you arrive, greet everyone individually. This is actually really important. If it's a really big group, you might feel more comfortable saying, "Hi everyone, bonjour tout le monde." But in most cases, going into someone's house, you're going to greet each person and acknowledge them individually. A handshake, a bise, or an embrace. This includes the children. All the kids in the home you're arriving at will greet you, and your kids need to greet everyone as well.
Honestly, this was an etiquette thing we had to work on with our daughter when we arrived, because it's super normal, and for kids in the US, like, you show up in someone's home and they just shoot past all the adults to go play without ever acknowledging them. And that's totally not rude in the US, but it doesn't work that way here. It's really rude not to stop and greet everyone first, even for the kids. So kind of start to remind your kids, you'll stop and do that before you head off to play. Number 3. Now, while we're here talking about greetings, let's talk about the bise. The famous French greeting with kisses, which I think often generates a lot of anxiety around Americans because it's new for us, and it's, you know, kind of the kisses somewhere in the vicinity of the cheeks.
One thing I didn't realize before I moved here is this is not a big, giant, sloppy kiss on every cheek. You're more like, it's actually kissing past each other's cheek.
Yeah, you're like, okay.
Yeah, there's some distance there.
Yeah, and this can vary a little bit depending on your relationship with the person. Like, I noticed that if I'm just meeting someone, maybe it's a friend of a friend, so I would still do bise, but it would be, there's like distance between us there. It's quick. And whereas like my closest friend's mom, when she gives me bise, she's like that, you know, she's like, our cheeks touch, and she may kind of hold me there for a moment.
Brushing.
It just all kind of depends. So it's the same way with hugs. You know how in the US it's like you might have just like the side lean hug versus the hug you haven't seen your mom, and
well, there's a little distance sometimes.
Oh, that's true. You're kind of like, that's true.
There's all kinds.
There's all kinds. But what we want you to know is, if you've met someone for the first time or you just don't feel comfortable doing bise, shaking hands is perfectly acceptable. It's okay.
Yeah, and for men, often greeting other men, unless you're close friends or family, handshakes are very normal still.
Yeah, very common. So bise is one of those French things. I've come to see the bise as like just as affectionate as hugging, but kind of a little less awkward physically in some ways.
And that's, I mean, remember, the greeting anxiety goes both ways. The French may find American hugs way too intimate and very unfamiliar. So when in doubt, it's okay to ask, are we doing bise? Can I give you a hug?
Yeah.
Maybe a handshake? All of those are fine. Just don't dive in for that bear hug without asking first.
Yeah, that would be a little weird.
Yeah.
Okay. Number 4, always bring a gift for your host to thank them for having you. I think this is pretty similar practice to the US, but like we just want to kind of talk about a few things that are really common here to bring for gifts. I think flowers and chocolates are always well received, but don't bring mums or chrysanthemums. Those are for dead loved ones in France. People do bring wine as a gift, but I kind of avoid it here in France because sometimes the host will feel like they must serve the wine if you bring it rather than keep it as a gift. And since they've probably already picked out specific bottles for the meal to pair with it, that can like feel a little awkward.
If you do really want to bring a bottle of something, champagne or a bottle of Armagnac as a gift are both really good ideas. And gift baskets with regional food items are also really well appreciated. We've received a lot of these actually from French friends, and they're great to kind of discover new things.
Yeah. One last idea that I think is very personal, and the bonus is it's kind of something you can talk about later with a new friend, is to bring them as a gift a book on a topic that you know that maybe they're interested in. France is filled with like wonderful little independent bookstores, so it's a good way to support them, and the French are often avid readers. So I think this is a really nice idea and something we don't do that often in the US, but both Juliana and I have received more than once books from French friends here in France, and I love it because I think of them whenever I'm reading it or using it.
That's kind of cool. Okay, number 5. This next one is really weird for Americans because it's literally the opposite of how we typically host.
In the US, if someone comes to our house for a dinner party, literally the first thing I'm going to do in the entryway when they walk in after taking their coat is say, what can I get you to drink? I mean, if you come to the Willicombe for dinner party, there's going to be a drink in your hand within 60 seconds after you arrive.
Easily.
Yeah, and I mean, we're from the South in the US, but I think that's pretty common practice all over the US.
Yeah.
You know?
The custom in France, however, is typically to wait until everyone has arrived to open up a bottle and break out the drinks. This could literally go on for 40 minutes or an hour if someone's really late. And you will likely end up waiting for that last person to arrive before any drinks are served. I think maybe how strict people are with this rule, it really does vary from person to person.
I think so. I mean, one of our closest French friends, Marianne, she'll often say after we've waited for a while, she's like, if we open the bottle, they'll arrive.
I
Let's
appreciate
do it.
Marianne. Yeah.
No. So number 7, the flow of the meal is different. Usually what'll happen as you come into the house is usually the living room or salon for an aperitif, something bubbly, or maybe a Kier, did I say it right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Which is like white wine with sometimes some sort of like flavored liqueur added. Usually there might be a few snacks out, like tomatoes or nuts or olives, little munchies on the table.
And then after maybe an hour of chatting and discussion, you'll probably move on to the dining room. And a traditional meal would start with soup or a small starter, followed by the main course, then cheese and salad. Dessert comes next, and then coffee. Notice coffee is usually after dessert, not with it. Following all this, you might end the meal with a digestif, which is usually some sort of strong liquor that you sip to help with digestion.
Yeah.
Remember, digestif, it's not a shot, it's for sipping. A really awkward moment when our family from America was visiting, and they downed an aged Armagnac like a tequila shot after it was served at the table.
So
he
funny.
was so proud of himself. He did it.
And we're like, so sip it.
Some of this might sound like a lot to Americans, where it's more common to make a casserole and everyone just helps themselves in the kitchen. You sit down at the table like half an hour before you go lounge in the living room together to kind of hang out after the meal.
It's much more relaxed and flows.
I think so.
Yeah. But this experience of being at the table for hours, having a meal like this in courses, in this order, I mean, this is a real part of French heritage. And I've come to think of it as when you're taking part of this meal, it's like living this cultural heritage of France and you're a part of it. I think that's like so cool.
Yeah.
And if you are watching this video, I'm going to guess that you value this kind of stuff and you want to be part of it, and you're watching our video so that when you arrive in France, you feel prepared and educated and ready to like dive into this cultural stuff and experience it. So when it comes to like figuring out cultural norms, watching French TV is a really good way to kind of start to soak that in, which is why this is one last sponsored video from France Channel.
This is one last reminder for any of you who missed the chance a few weeks ago. Right now, you can still get a 30% discount forever on your annual subscription to France Channel if you use our code BOUND30. If you haven't heard of France Channel, it's a way to stream real French TV and movies in the US. but with English subtitles, so you can enjoy it and still know what's going on if your French is still kind of coming along.
Yeah, I think this is nice, especially if you're still a few years away from your move. It's a fun way to keep getting more familiar with cultural things like French actors and actresses and, popular shows that didn't quite make it to the US on Netflix.
Yeah.
Those are things that can come up when you're at your first French dinner party. So you can get a week free trial just to make sure you like it. And then as long as you enter the code BOUND30 when you sign up, after the free trial, when they bill you, it'll be at 30% off annual subscription forever, and it helps support our channel too. Thank you.
Okay, number 8. This one is also pretty different for Americans. You don't go in the kitchen at a French person's house. This one, from what we've heard, is changing a lot. There's open kitchens, which are called cuisine d'américaine.
Funny enough.
Yeah. These are getting more popular, and younger generations, we've been told at least, are a bit less formal.
But at least so far, in our experience, in the countryside, with people like our age or older, you don't go in the kitchen to help.
Nope.
And that feels weird to me. Like, that's very normal in the US. I mean, often when we had dinner parties in the US, I might still be finishing things, and the first person or so that arrives, they just come join you in the kitchen and pitch in or pour a glass of wine and start chatting to you.
Yeah, but this is not typical in France. The kitchen is usually a separate room, especially in the older properties, and that is the host's area. Don't intrude. Everything will usually be ready when you arrive or brought out to you. You will not go in the kitchen to help.
Yeah. So actually, I have to say, I didn't really think that much about this particular difference, but when I ran this list by a French friend, she's like, oh, you need to tell people about how everything will be ready when they get there. And I was like, what do you mean? She's like, the table will be set, things will be ready, like it'll be done. And then I realized, so the first time we had them over for dinner, as soon as they got there, like one of our other American friends was outside on the grill making the meat, and I was inside cooking the tortillas, and I just put her to work rolling out dough while I was cooking them, and I was like,
Come on in, pitch in.
Yeah.
We're all working here.
I think that was really weird for her, I realize now. So anyway, just know it's normal. It's not that you're being lazy. This is like just how it goes. You're their guests, and they will take care of you.
Yeah.
You don't have to go roll out tortillas like when you come to an American house.
Okay, number 9. So let's do a quick table etiquette review of things that are just a little bit different than they are in the US.
Yeah.
Okay, when you sit down at the table, don't start eating until the host starts or until she says,
Bon appetit.
Seems like that's so stereotypical, but it actually happens.
Well, and as a hostess, you have to remember this too, because the first time we had a brunch and it was all French people, I was waiting on everyone to start, and I didn't know why they weren't. And then one of them looked at me and said, usually we say bon appetit and then we eat. And I was like, oh,
Messy.
bon appetit.
Okay. You let the host pour the wine and refill glasses. Don't take seconds until you're offered. Even if the food is already on the table and everyone has already been served, don't help yourself.
Yeah, they'll offer.
Bread is often the exception to this rule, though. And it's okay to put your bread right on the table. Just set it right down.
There's no bread plates.
No, it's very common. Just set it down. Don't put your silverware directly on the tablecloth. You can rest them on your plate upside down. Usually everyone does that.
Taking a break. Yeah.
Lastly, rest your hands on the table. Keep your elbows in. Elbows in. This is exactly the opposite of what we've been told our whole lives in the US, where your mom was like, put your hand in your lap. But you don't do that here.
Yeah. Number 10, be prepared to stay late. Or if you need to leave at a particular time, you got to catch the last train home or you got to get up early, make sure you tell your hostess in advance.
Yeah.
So we have never, ever left a French home we went to for dinner before midnight. Like ever, never. Sometimes it's been 1 a.m. even when our hosts were in their 70s or it was a work day.
Yeah. This is another place where I think the cultural differences in the US versus France are pretty stark. In the US, my worry was always not to overstay my welcome in the home. Staying too long is rude because your host probably has something else to do and you don't want to be an inconvenience. In France, however, not staying long enough might be considered rude. It's as if you only came for the food and not the people, not the company. Because here it's the people, not the food, which is the most important thing about the meal.
Yeah. Remember, all of these are going to vary a little bit depending on the occasion, the host, your relationship with each other, and the part of France you're in. But I think this is a good foundation to get you through your first French dinner invitation.
You're ready.
You're ready. Yeah. Thanks for watching.
A bientôt.